Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to pre-bid meeting number one. This is general information session for Buffalo Sewer Authority's primary treatment renovation project at the Bird Island Wastewater Treatment Facility. Next slide. An agenda of what we'll cover here over the next hour. We'll just start with some opening remarks, go through a brief overview of the work. We'll review the summary, the construction documents, talk about some of the specific project components for each contract, along with project site constraints and the expected site coordination. Then we'll close out with general discussions. Any questions from folks on the call? We do ask any questions you have be placed in the chat. As we are in the procurement period, all questions to be submitted in writing. And then we'll close out with a roll call to confirm attendance with closing remarks and reminders. Some housekeeping issues. This is an online meeting. Walt Walker and my colleague Ryan Christopher will be doing the presenting. We ask that everyone keep your mics on mute. Any questions that you'd like to provide be included in the chat box. The meeting will be recorded, and a recording will be posted along with copies of the slides from this pre-bid meeting as well as tomorrow's EFC funding pre-bid meeting. At the end of this call, we'll ask for folks to do a roll call by firm by placing the name of their company in the chat, and then the presentation and attendance list will be shared with everyone and will be included as an addendum. So for those that have had a chance to connect with, my name is Walt Walker. I'm the design project manager for the primary treatment project. Co-presenting with me is Deputy Project Manager Ryan Christopher from my team. And then we also have on the call representing the Buffalo Sewer Authority, Tim Blake, who's the Treatment Plant Capital Projects Manager, and Rosalie Nogel, Principal Sanitary Engineer. So just going through the bid and procurement schedule, really important here. The project was advertised last Monday, and plans are available through Avalon Plan Room. You go to that link in Avalon Plan Room and look in the public jobs section. You'll see and be able to access the contract documents along with any future addenda that'll be issued. Today is pre-bid meeting number one. Tomorrow, pre-bid meeting number two is a virtual funding compliance meeting that'll be hosted and led by EFC. So that's a very critical component of the project, and we'll talk a bit about why later in this meeting. And then pre-bid meeting number three, mandatory site walkthrough for those that are intending to submit as a prime on either February 2nd or 23rd. If you wish to make an appointment to attend the site walkthrough, please email me at the email address shown on the slide by tomorrow 1 p.m. For any folks attending the site, proper PPE is required: hard hat, vest, work boots, etc. So please bring your own PPE. We'll meet in the administration building for a safety orientation prior to performing the site walkthrough. For the site walkthrough, aside from high-level questions, which building is this, which building is that, in general, no questions will be allowed. They must be provided in writing. This will simply be a walkthrough, and I'll narrate the facilities that you're seeing. Next slide, as it relates to questions. I've mentioned this several times, but please provide all questions in writing to me. Deadline for questions will be March 18th. There'll be a number of addenda issued between now and March 23rd as we get series of questions, but the final addendum will be issued on March 23rd. Bid packages will be due on March 28th before 11 a.m. Eastern. At 11 a.m. Eastern, we will do a virtual bid opening and read the bids aloud. So your bids must be submitted to the T.Y. Lin Greeley Hanson offices at 77 Broadway, Suite 208. essentially by 10:59 a.m. We will start reading the bids at 11 a.m. Moving ahead and along the procurement schedule, recommendation of bid award will be made at the Buffalo Sewer Authority May board meeting, estimating notice to proceed in fall 2024 with substantial completion of construction projected for December 2028. And I just want to make clear for the March 28th bid deadline, those packages will be read aloud via Microsoft Teams. All right, so going into an overview of the work, the primary treatment system was constructed back in the late 1930s. So this is really a once in a generation upgrade of Buffalo Sewer's primary treatment system. This is part of a long-term control plan, but this is also an opportunity to achieve a lot of the environmental justice goals for the community that Buffalo Sewer Authority has set out. As part of this project will be rehabilitation of the primary sedimentation tanks and all mechanical electrical equipment, full gut renovation of the sludge pumping station, which is icon number 2, as you see. As part of that environmental justice work for the surrounding community, there will be an odor control system with new pads installed behind the sludge pump station and covered effluent weirs around the perimeter of each of the tanks. A new component of the project or the system is the construction of a new high rate disinfection pump station and chlorine contact tank, which you see identified as item number 4. That pump station effluent pipe will connect to existing outfall 001, which is item number 6, as you see number here. As part of the connection to outfall 001, there will be some repairs to the outfall itself, resulting in a partial and temporary closure of that shoreline trail, which connects 2 parks along the Niagara River, Unity Island Park on the north end and Freedom Park on the south end. And then upgrades to the bypass structure gates and automation of those gates, which connect to the influent and effluent operation of the system. Just so folks get a big picture understanding of what the Buffalo Sewer Authority is trying to accomplish here. Currently, during normal operations, dry conditions, the primary treatment throughput is 160 MGD. The secondary treatment capacity is limited to 320 MGD. During wet weather conditions, what the authority calls partial treatment mode, excess flows are then discharged through the primary treatment outfall 001. As a result of the bottlenecks and grit issues on the back end, which are currently being addressed, the primary system and outfall 001 ends up discharging the balance of those wet weather flows. This project, moving on to the next slide, aims to limit the primary treatment throughput to 160 MGD in accordance to 10 state standards, and then future build out on the back end will increase capacity to 400 MGD. So you will hear the overall long-term control plan at the treatment plant be discussed in 3 phases. Phase 1, the secondary system rehabilitation. The primary treatment project is part of phase 2. And then there's a future project coming soon, phase 3, where the secondary treatment capacity will be expanded for additional treatment. But this is related to phase 2 and the primary treatment upgrades. Okay, so getting into construction documents, just want to cover a few items here. Notable items to be aware of in the specifications. The responsibilities include examination of the site, having read the contract documents and the existing conditions of the site work. Each proposal shall be submitted on the form provided by the Buffalo Sewer Authority and shall be enclosed in a sealed envelope addressed to the Buffalo Sewer Authority with the name and address of the bidder, date for the bid openings, and the words primary treatment renovation endorsed on those documents. Specifications Book 1 and Book 2, which are available on Avalon currently, are to be submitted as part of the bid along with that bid form. No bidder may withdraw the proposal within 45 days after date of the opening of the bids. This project is being funded utilizing SRF funds and requires to meet the 20% DBE goals. And then as it relates to the bid security, that'll include a certified check, 5% of the bid price, and bid bond, 25% of the bid price. We will be issuing an addendum number 1 today. This provides a bit of clarity on the instructions to bidder section. Where the clarification is, if a bidder is proposing on contract A, B, or C, the bidder is to provide a certified check or proposal bond for each contract, one for contract A, one for contract B, in the amount not less than 5% if a certified check, or 25% if it is a bid bond. Next slide, reiterating project funding. This project will be fully funded by federal state funding administered through EFC and DEC with a combination of grants and zero to low interest loans from bipartisan infrastructure law, clean water state revolving funds, WIA, and WQIP. So it's important that this project meets its disadvantaged business enterprise goals for a number of reasons. Number one, to remain in compliance for the funding. And so the expectation is that there'll be 20% DBE utilization goal met across the entire contract, and that the contractor shall make documented good faith efforts to utilize at least 20% of the total value of the contract to DBEs that are certified in New York State. And then in terms of contract packaging, the scope is organized into contracts A and B, but the contractor bidders do have the opportunity to propose a bid alternate, as noted on the next slide, identified as contract C, which is the combined bids for contracts A and B. If a bidder proposes on contract C, they must provide proposals for contract A and B. So as a bidder, you can bid on contract A alone, contract B alone, or a combined bid for contract C. The authority will review each of those proposals for their respective contract submissions and review and designate an award based on the best fit. And this is a summary of the contract A and contract B scope. Contract A focusing on the primary settling tanks, sludge pump station, and installation of the odor control system. Contract B focusing on the new chlorine contact tanks, high rate disinfection system in the pump station, as well as replacement of the wastewater gates. Okay, bringing this up again, DBE inclusion plans, so critical. DBE utilization plan must be submitted with your bid proposal package. If that DBE utilization plan is not part of the bid package submitted on the 28th, it will be deemed incomplete. The prime contractor must utilize DBE suppliers and subcontractors that are certified through the New York State Unified Certification Program. We're looking for plans that are reflecting a good faith effort, are realistic and meaningful. Utilization of DBEs and NWBEs in general is critical to to the authority's approach to advancing equity in its community, and I'll talk a bit about that right now. It's an opportunity to create economic opportunity for disadvantaged business enterprises and smaller firms, including firms who are new to working with BSA and within the city of Buffalo. So we're looking for partners that are promoting meaningful teaming arrangements, an opportunity for mentorship, and partnership between established and experienced firms. So once again, 20% utilization goal. DBEs must be certified in New York State as a DBE. An MWBE may not be certified as a DBE. There are no specific MWBE and service disabled veteran goals on this project, but utilization of MWBEs and service disabled veteran business enterprises are encouraged. Okay, moving on to some additional elements of contract documents. Just take note of the equal employment opportunity form, tax exemption, non-collusive bidding certification, and all the required insurances that are required, as well as the bonds. The performance bonds must be in the penal amount of 100% of the full contract price, and the maintenance bond must be in the amount of 10% of the full agreement price. And noted on this slide are the liquidated damages. Next slide. This contract is subject to prevailing wage requirements under Article 8 of the New York State Labor Law. The prevailing wage and supplemental rates that are in effect for each trade at the time of the work is performed must be paid. BABA is waived for this contract due to the time that the project actually started. The EFC team will talk a bit more about that during tomorrow's pre-bid meeting. But in summary, BABA is waived. However, a contractor must comply with American Iron and Steel. So AIS is still applicable to this project. Additional contract administration items, coordination with Emerson for the Ovation DCS. You'll see that as a line item on the bid form. Emerson is leading the coordination of the Ovation DCS instrumentation upgrades, document management software during the construction phase, management of submittals, RFIs, submittal of invoices will all be handled through Procure. And the engineer's field trailer is to be provided under Contract B. So next, we'll get into some of the specific project components of Contract A and Contract B, along with some additional site constraints. So for now, I'll turn that over to Ryan.
Thanks, Walt. So I'm going to start with Contract A, which is really focused on the primary sedimentation tanks and the sludge pumping station. So as Walt alluded to the first couple slides, the primary sedimentation tanks will be completely rehabilitated. So brand new clarifier equipment will be installed, new sludge and scum collection equipment, new density current baffles, energy dissipating inlets, the groundwater relief valves that are existing will be replaced due to age, and then new scum trough in beach and new effluent weir covers will be provided for odor control. While the tank is out of service, there will be a number of structural repairs that will be done as well. So there's an inspection that was done during design, and there is concrete cracking, spalling, typical corrosion that you would see for a piece of equipment that is coming up on 90 years old. So that'll all be repaired as each tank is rehabilitated. The new tank, the tanks will also be coated with new corrosion protection coating at key locations to further protect the existing concrete. There'll also be concrete repairs and coating done at the inlet chambers and scum wells. And there's 2 inlet chambers. Each inlet chamber includes a single scum well. From an electrical perspective, new site lighting will be installed, new handrail around all the PSTs, new davit mounts will be installed, and then handrails will be left in place at the inlet chamber as they're in good condition. Within the sludge pumping station, as Walt said, this is a full gut rehab with everything basically being demolished and replaced. So there'll be exterior repairs to masonry and structure itself, both on the exterior and interior. Inside, the primary sludge pumps will be replaced. There'll be new grinders that will be installed upstream of the primary sludge pumps. 2 new drainage pumps will be installed, and then all new piping and valves will be installed as part of the renovation. New plumbing and HVAC, a new bridge crane, the motor control center, which you can see the existing location on the left there, that will be relocated to a new renovated electrical control room that will bring the electrical facilities up to current codes. And then there'll also be a new odor control system that'll be installed. So all of the primary sedimentation tanks, all 4 of them will have covers on the effluent trough that will collect air and bring it back to 2 new odor control systems. Air from the some of the existing junction chambers will also be brought back to the new odor control systems. The odor control systems will be a hybrid system with a biological filter followed by a carbon column. And then last part on contract A to bring up is the decommissioning of the bypass sodium hypochlorite facility. So once the new high rate disinfection facility is up and operational, this building, which is adjacent to the PSTs, can be decommissioned. So the tanks, piping, pumping valves can all be removed. The lighting and HVAC will remain as is. This is covered in the demolition specification, and then there's reference drawings included in the drawing set. And then just the overall scope of work for contract A. This is the various contract items that are included. So 1A is the lump sum work that covers the vast majority of the work related to the PSTs, the sludge pump station, the odor control, decommissioning of the bypass sodium hypochlorite facility, and all associated work with that. There's a pre-negotiated price with Emerson for the upgrades to the DCS system. There's a couple allowance items for handling, removing, and legal disposal of hazardous and non-hazardous waste. Should note that there is known lead paint, asbestos, and a few other hazardous materials located in the sludge pumping station. So during that renovation, those materials will need to be remediated first before they can be disposed. This is all covered in section 2 of the specifications. There's associated reports in there that dictate what was found during the site visits. The allowance item 3A will cover any unknown hazardous or non-hazardous regulated waste that's found that was not covered in the reports. So there'll be allowance for that. There'll be allowance for unanticipated impacted soil and groundwater that may be present during excavation. And then 5A covers an allowance for repairs of existing pipes and utilities discovered to be in poor condition. Part of the lump sum contract is for the contractor to complete some investigations on the lines coming in and out of the sludge pumping station. And if any of the pipes are found to be in poor condition, they can be repaired via lining, or they can be replaced completely with new pipe. And this will all be covered in contract item 5A. And then contract items 6A through 14A are unit cost items for additional potential items that may come up during the construction and renovation of the facilities. So I'll move on to contract B. So this is the high rate disinfection facility, which includes mainly the new pumping station and the chlorine contact tank. So the new facility will have a peak capacity of 160 MGD. It'll only be operational during the partial treatment mode. It will connect to flows just upstream of the primary bypass chamber and take primary effluent to the new high rate disinfection system. It'll then be pumped to the existing outfall 001 after it's gone through disinfection. So a little bit about the pumping station itself. Has 160 MGD firm capacity. It'll have 5 pumps, each with a capacity of 40 MGD. 3 of the 5 pumps will be on variable frequency drives, and 2 will be on constant speed drives. There'll be a chemical feed and storage room as well. There'll be 3 approximately 11,000 gallon storage tanks and 6 chemical feed pumps associated with that. There'll be an electrical room, some personnel facilities, fire protection room, sampling room, all included within this new HRD pumping station. And then the chlorine contact tank will provide up to 5 minutes of contact time at the 160 MGD flow rate. It's approximately 120 feet long with 8 passes. Each pass is about 6 feet in length with a max water depth of about 13 feet in total. There are a number of gates associated with that are all motor actuated. There are a few pumps on the far right side of the page here to drain the system after a wet weather event has occurred. There'll be tipping buckets that'll connect into the plant water system to flush the tanks after a wet weather event has occurred. Overall, the chlorine contact tanks will be cast in place concrete overall. They will be on new H piles, as will the high rate disinfection pump station. The influent conduit and the effluent conduit will all be on H piles. So this is the influent conduit to the new chlorine contact tank. It's 8.5 foot by 8.5 foot square. It's cast in place concrete, and it is on steel H piles. It is a gravity flow system. It will be connecting into conduits just upstream of the primary bypass structure in the primary bypass junction chamber. On the effluent conduit side, there'll be a 96-inch FRP pipe that will take flow from the HRD pump station to existing outfall 001. This will also be on piles, just like the rest of the new facilities. It will be located on top of the influent conduit for a stretch, and then as it approaches the outfall 001, it will be outside of the fence line and within the shoreline trail that Walt had mentioned previously, and then it'll connect into Outfall 001. There will be some reconstruction and repairs completed at Outfall 001 to make the connection. Similar setup in terms of contract items for contract B. So 1B is the lump sum system that will include the, oh, apologies, I can see this as this table is not correct, but it will include the HRD system, all associated equipment material with that. 2B will be the integration equipment in coordination with Emerson, and then allowances, similar to contract A, and then a number of unit cost items to be used as needed. So in summary, just the overall work that has to be done. So there'll be a new HRD system, pump station, and chlorine contact tank. There'll be some deep excavation associated with that. The geotechnical report is included in Book 3 of the specifications. We would anticipate some dewatering would be required. The plant is on an island between two bodies of water, so groundwater will be present. The new HRD system, electrical system, will be fed from the existing megastructure substation to the north. There'll be one of the most critical gates to be replaced is gate 17. So currently there is no gate 17. So that'll be one of the first pieces of equipment as part of contract B that has to be installed in order to complete other work that has to be done later on. The instrumentation and controls coordination will be done with Emerson. The plant has an Ovation control system already. So as previously mentioned, there will be a pre-negotiated price to utilize Emerson throughout the project for both contracts. The primary tanks, there'll be both structural repairs and mechanical replacement of all equipment. Gut renovation of the sludge pump station, new pumps, piping valves, electrical equipment, HVAC, plumbing, everything will be replaced. Just keep in mind overall schedule. Some of these pumps, pieces of equipment, like the MCCs, could have long lead times. So a couple items on the constraints. Suggest everyone review the summary of work in Division 1 for the full constraints, but just a couple items wanted to point out. So the primary tanks, there are some constraints on how many can be taken out at once. Typically one will be out at a time. There will be some overlap when two PSTs can be taken out at one time, at which point some of the work within the sludge pumping station and scum wet well can be completed. For all of these shutdowns, connections, anything where the plant is having to shut down, those are going to be weather dependent. So they will not be allowed during wet weather events, and the authority reserves the right to cancel any shutdowns if wet weather is in the forecast. Mentioned on contract B, the replacement of gate WW17 is one of the early out items that has to be completed so that other work can be done after that. The plant overall is maintaining operation at all times. So, just something that the contractors need to keep in mind is that they will need to work with plant operations staff throughout the construction of the new facilities and rehabilitation to ensure that the plant is still operating and still meeting permit. That connection to Outfall 001 That'll have to be coordinated with the authority as well as the city and the community. It's a heavily used walking, biking, and fishing trail. So there are limits on the duration that can be out, as well as signage that is required so that the public is aware. Large deliveries are required to use the North Gate entrance, which is the International Railroad Bridge. There are no exceptions to that, and that will need to be coordinated with some of the other work that's going on at the plant. As Walt mentioned, the secondary systems rehab project is underway within the aeration tanks, and then hasn't started construction yet, but it will during the construction of this project, the secondary system expansion project. Just another item that'll have to be coordinated. So staging and coordination, this is laid out in the documents of different areas where contract A and contract B can utilize lay down storage, trailer area as needed. Just wanting to reiterate that, again, the plant has to maintain operations throughout this whole construction process. So work with the plant staff to ensure that they can do that throughout the construction. And again, reiterating, all deliveries have to use the bridge, the International Railroad Bridge to the north to access the island. So at this point, we will open it up for any questions that anyone had. I would ask too, if you could start prior to roll call, if you could start in the chat, just one individual from each firm, just so we can gather attendance for this. You could state your name and your company. We'll go through roll call here in a few minutes. So I'll open it up to any questions.
I'm not sure everyone can actually put their information into the chat. I cannot.
Okay.
Well, Ryan,
Well,
I have I've taken attendance on my own for those that have called in, so I have that as a backup.
okay. And I can go through here, give it another minute or so. I'll go through and just read out who is here, and then if I haven't read your name, maybe you can come off and just state your name and company, and we'll note that. And as Walt stated, this will be meeting notes for this meeting and tomorrow's EFC meeting, as well as the attendance will be provided as an addendum. So just be on the lookout for that. On the Avalon Plan Room website, you can see other plan holders too. So just another way to coordinate and talk through different teaming opportunities. All right, I'll just start going through real quick. And if I get to the end and I haven't stated your company, just please let me know. Zach Hine. And Zach, which company are you with?
American Contracting. Sorry, I hit enter on accident.
Oh, no worries. All right, thank you, Zach. Anthony from Frey Electric. Thank you. I see it, Zach. American Contracting and Environmental Services, Inc. Nick at Rain for Rent. Chris Wall, O'Connell Electric. Whole Industrial Services, Inc. Robert from Xylem, Steve from CIR Electric, Scott O'Connell Electric, Manning Squires Henning, Dan is present, Vasco USA, Jason at MSH, Langston Jones, Arcadis, and Mike from John Danforth Company. Is there anyone else that I have not read out loud?
Jeff Salvatore and James LaCara from Mark Cerrone.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. We got it. All right. Anyone else? Last chance. All right. So just closing remarks. As I stated, the meeting notes, the slides, and the attendance list from this meeting and tomorrow's EFC meeting will be provided via addendum. Again, if I haven't said your name out loud, please enter it in the chat or unmute yourself. And just a couple reminders of key dates. So today is the first of 3 mandatory meetings. This was the just informational meeting. Tomorrow is, again, mandatory for funding compliance. It's hosted by EFC. And then either Thursday or Friday this week, the 22nd or 23rd, will be a mandatory site walkthrough. Bidders are required to attend one of those site walkthroughs. And to register for that, please email Walt at the email provided by 1 p.m. Tomorrow. Again, reminder, proper PPE is required to be provided by the attendees. All questions are to be provided in writing. Walt Walker is the main contact. Deadline for questions is March 18th. Questions and responses will be provided by addenda. Final addendum will be issued no later than March 23rd. And then bid packages are due March 28th, 2024, before 11 a.m. at 77 Broadway. As previously discussed and in the specifications, just make sure that you have your I's dotted, T's crossed. Make sure that you have your DVE utilization plan with your bid package. And then reminder, all bid documents are available at the Avalon Plan Room. All addenda will be issued through Avalon Plan Room. And then just a thank you to the BSA team for everything on this project, and thank you all for attending.
Any final questions before we close out? I see one in the chat in regards to overall budget available to contractors. Sure what that means, but there's, in terms of budget in regards to procurement, that's on the contractor.
If it's in reference to the overall estimated construction cost, it was 70 to 80 million for contract A and B. And that was presented in the virtual open house back in January. And that's available online through the BSA website too.
All right. Well, everyone, if no further questions, again, all questions in writing submitted to me, including on Thursday or Friday's site walkthrough. Responses to any questions received will be issued via addendum So keep those questions coming in with a deadline of March 18th. Appreciate everyone's time and attention, and we look forward to seeing many of you for tomorrow's pre-bid meeting with EFC. So thanks everyone, and have a great week. Take care.
Thank you.